Tariffs. Tariffs and real estate in Canada. Let's navigate the impact on homes and investment properties alike. Have you ever wondered how a tariff on imported steel or lumber from another country could impact the price of your next home in Canada? Hi, this is Rupy, your realtor here in Calgary. Today we are going to break down everything about tariffs and how it's going to impact us. Now, in today's global economy, international trade policies can have a surprisingly local effect, even shaping real estate prices right here at home. Since 2020, construction material cost in Canada has surged by more than 40%, and tariffs are one of the key reasons behind the spike. I am a Canadian realtor who keeps a close eye on housing trends, and today I want to break down the impact of tariffs, those taxes on imported goods, and how they ripple through Canada's real estate market and your home, both residential and commercial. Let's talk about that now. Whether you are a first-time home buyer, seasoned investor, or planning to sell, this video will give you the insights into how tariff affects and real estate and what smart strategies you can adopt in today's environment. Let's dive in. What are tariffs and why do they matter in Canadian real estate? Now, a tariff is essentially a tax imposed on imported goods. In Canada, when we import products, whether from US, China, or elsewhere, we might pay tariffs. That drives up the final price. Now, that cost often gets passed down to Canadian builders and eventually to home buyers or renters. For example, a tariff on imported US aluminum means more expensive window framings and structural elements in a new home or a new building. Construction in Canada relies heavily on global supply chain. Despite our vast natural resources, we import a wide range of building materials like steel from South Korea or India, electrical components from US and China, ceramic tiles from Europe, appliances from Mexico. One recent analysis showed that over 30% of construction imports in Canada are imported, making us highly sensitive to trade barriers. Now, when tariffs are imposed either by Canada or another nations or other countries, it often results in higher cost, supply chain disruption, and uncertainty in construction projects. Builders have to scramble for alternative suppliers or eat the cost, and these headaches inevitably shows up in the form of higher home prices or delayed builds. Impact on residential real estate. Let's talk about that now. In Canada, the effect of tariff on residential real estate have been tangible and widespread. Rising construction cost is the next one. Lumber prices, already volatile due to the wildfires and demand spikes, have been compounded by trade tensions. For example, the long-standing softwood lumber dispute with the US has led to counter-traveling and anti-dumping duties that raises the price of Canadian softwood entering the US. But it also indirectly inflate prices domestically. Builders in BC, Alberta, and Ontario often rely on US imports for specialized materials, and when those get taxed, costs go up. According to the Canadian Home Builders Association, CHBA, tariffs on essential materials have added roughly $10,000 to $15,000 to the cost of building a single-family home in major urban areas. Now, this does not even include delays caused by international shipping bottlenecks or trade restrictions, which further increase labor and holding costs for developers. Fewer homes, more delays. Now, the Canadian housing supply crunches is well documented, and tariffs don't help. When building becomes more expensive and uncertain, smaller developers often delay or cancel projects. In hot markets like Toronto, Vancouver, Calgary, and Halifax. This means fewer new listings come to the market, pushing up prices for existing homes and reducing options for buyers. The Bank of Canada has flagged this supply constraint as one of the factors driving up home prices. Now, let's see some examples. Just think about the major component of a Canadian house: roofing shingles, often imported; HVAC units, many made in the US or Mexico; kitchen appliances, frequently Chinese or European brands. Now, lighting fixtures, often from Asia. Tariffs on any of these inputs affect not only new home cost but also renovations budgets for current homeowners. Home buyers might get impacted by this. With higher material cost and rising interest rate, many Canadian home buyers are adjusting their expectations, and some are downsizing plans, choosing more modest finishes or options for resale homes instead of new builds. Others facing delay in occupancy as builders wait for back-ordered goods affected by tariff or global supply chain issues. And let's not forget, any increase in building cost also increase the baseline property tax for new home buyers. So it just have a ripple effect. Now let's talk about sellers. Seller benefit to a point. Sellers of existing homes may enjoy stronger offer since demand stays high while new construction slows. However, the affordability ceiling is a real concern. Many buyers are already stretched, especially in urban centers. It is a seller's market, but only if you price realistically. In short, tariffs contribute to Canada's affordability crisis. They rise cost, creates delays, and limit housing supplies. But at the same time, they may enhance the value of existing homes, especially in regions where new builds are scarce. Now, impact on commercial real estate. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about offices and industries and multifamilies. Tariffs don't just affect the prices of homes, they also impact the broader commercial real estate landscape in Canada. Construction cost and project viability. Just like residential construction, commercial projects from office towers in Toronto to warehouses in Calgary are feeling the squeeze. Tariffs on steel and aluminum, for example, have raised material cost significantly. In fact, after the Canada-US trade tension escalated in 2018, the Canadian Construction Association reported that commercial projects saw input cost rise by 8 to 12% under 1 year. So now developers now face tough choices. Should they push ahead and accept thinner margins, delay until the cost stabilizes, or redesign with cheaper or locally sourced alternatives? Many are hitting pause, especially in the industrial and retail sector, waiting for more predictable economy. Now, demand from businesses. When a tariff hit, consumer goods like electronics, apparel, or appliances price go up and people buy less and less. The ripple effects can hit commercial tenants and who may slow down expansions, reduce square footage, or shutters underperforming locations. Now, for example, a furniture retail dealing with tariff imports from Asia may abandon plans for new Calgary storefront because it's just so expensive to run. So on the industrial side, tariffs may disrupt global supply chain, lowering the need for logistics spaces, but in some cases we are seeing the opposite. Businesses are leasing more warehouse spaces to hedge against a delay in stockpiling goods in Canada. So now logistics provides the third-party warehousing firms are doing especially well in this environment. So particularly in Greater Vancouver and GTA. Now, let's talk about industrial warehouses now. Now, what's happening in Alberta and Ontario are seeing strong demand in this space, especially from e-commerce firms. However, high steel prices from tariffs mean fewer speculative builds. Some developers are shifting to multi-tenant flex spaces or modular design to reduce material exposure. Let's talk about the retail market now. Tariffs increases consumer price can dampen foot traffic and spending. As household budget tightens, luxury and discretionary retails are especially vulnerable. Now, however, everyday use like groceries, your medicines, they will still be up and running and they will be more resilient. Let's talk about offices. The impact of tariff on the office sector is more indirect. If tariffs slow economic growth, companies may delay hiring or leasing new office buildings. The greater threat here is economically uncertainty would cause the combination of work from home to, it might will increase, right? So that there is downtown core is not paying so much more rent. Multifamily. Similar to housing construction, cost inflation means fewer apartment units are being built, with population growth continuing, especially through immigration. So this could drive up rents in cities like Montreal, Vancouver, and Calgary. Now, landlords may benefit, but affordability suffers. Long-term trends now. Let's talk about that silver lining. It's not all bad news. Tariffs, while disruptive, can spark innovation and long-term investments in ways that benefits the Canadian real estate market. Boosting domestic supply chain. Now, higher tariff on imported goods can make it financially viable to produce material domestically. For example, in BC, we have seen interest in expanding sawmill capacity to meet demands without relying on US or overseas lumber. Now, Ontario is seeing renewed investment in steel manufacturing, which could benefit construction costs over the long term. Now, more resilient developments. Builders are becoming more strategic, now choosing designs that reduce reliance on tariff import. So that will make us more self-reliant in a long run. Now, the push for positive home and green build in Canada fits into these trends. I know, build green is expensive, but in a long run, that will be a really, really great choice. Now, let's talk about investment opportunities. When it becomes more expensive to build, existing properties often rise in value. So this is especially true in tight markets. Investors are now looking at older buildings as opportunities for value-added renovations since the cost of replacing them is much higher. In areas with slow new development, such as part of Maritimes or prairies, well-located properties are seeing renewed investment interest and a lot of builders are approaching them. Geographic rebalancing. If tariff triggers a long-term reindustrialization trend, cities with industrial roots like Windsor, Hamilton, and parts of Quebec may see more growth. This would boost both residential and commercial real estate demand in those regions. Meanwhile, major port cities like Vancouver may need to pivot as import-based logistics take a hit. Let's talk about interest rate and that impact on economic. Tariffs can slightly raise inflation, which usually leads to higher interest rate. But if tariffs slow the economy, Too much, the Bank of Canada could respond with rate cuts and stimulate growth. Real estate market, in turn, may benefit from lower borrowing costs, especially in high-priced cities where affordability is a concern. What should Canadian buyers and sellers and investors do? Let's talk about that. Home buyers, understand that new builds may carry higher price tags due to the elevated material cost. Be prepared for delays, especially if your home includes imported appliances or goods or finishes. So consider exploring the resale market or being flexible with your wish list. Watch interest rates. If tariffs cool the economy, mortgage rates may drop. Sellers, you may benefit from reduced competition, especially in urban centers where new builds are delayed. Highlight the value in your home, especially if it is included high-end features that would be costly to replace today. Price compatibility. Buyers are facing affordable pressures, so home prices right still moving quickly. So now, investors, developers, update your cost estimates, build contingencies into the timelines, consider renovations existing properties instead of ground up constructions to avoid volatile material prices. Explore sectors with stable demand, such as logistics and multifamily housing. Think long term. Real estate remains one of the strongest hedges against inflation, especially if tariff becomes a sustained feature of global trade. Let's conclude now. Tariffs may feel like far off policy decisions, but they hit close to home, quite literally. In Canadian real estate, especially. From building cost to project main timelines to housing affordability, these influence real estate. Now, whether you are buying, selling, or you are investing, understanding the ripple effect of trade policy can help you make smart real estate decisions. And as always, if you have any questions or concerns, do give me a call. I'll be able to help you. 403-689-7720. Bye for now.